Microphone check. 1, 2, 1, 2. This is the Blaze the Lion podcast. I am your host, Blaze the Lion. And we're in February. I still can't believe that we're already in February 2023. It's just right. It's so
Mhm.
crazy that how time is just flying by. I don't know if it's because I'm older, why time is flying by. Maybe that's it, or maybe just things are changing. So
Mhm.
we're already in February, and this is the kickoff for our new theme, which is relationships, masculine versus feminine energy. Hmm, makes you think, makes you maybe want to learn something or argue. Hmm, maybe it brings up past trauma. Maybe it brings up memories of your toxic ex, or maybe it was your toxicity. Who knows? Nonetheless, this entire month will be focused on masculine and feminine energy. I felt this was a important theme that must be discussed, that must be shared, and lots of dialogue, lots of insight, and just lots of transparency, lots of truth is what I'm looking for this
Mhm.
entire month. This right here is episode 88. Woo! There's power in that number. Look at
Mhm.
that. 88. All right. I'm excited. Right now, if you're watching us live, we're on YouTube, on the Blaze Line Podcast channel, and we're also live on the Blaze Line Podcast page on Facebook as well. Indeed, indeed. If you're loving the movement, right, as you should, as you should, all right, we have a special for you, all right. If you'd like to become a monthly contributor to the podcast, all you have to do is go on anchor.fm/blaze the lion/support. And we have 3 tiers for you right there, from $1 a month to $5 a month to $10 a month. And you get to brag to your friends that you're part of the Blaze the Line podcast movement. And that's all you get. No, I'm joking. You also get the apparel right here, the Blaze the Line podcast tees. All right. And this summer, I promise, I know I've been saying this for what, maybe a year now, maybe 2 years now, but it's coming. All right. I'm getting back to the webinars. All right. That is a must. I want to really tap back into my life coaching, and I want to get into helping many of you find your purpose, and not only find it, but actually walk in your purpose. And you see how life changes. Your perspective on life drastically changes when you find and you're walking in your purpose, being purposeful in your moves. All right. So that is coming soon. I promise, this summer. All right. So if you're a monthly contributor, you get free access to those webinars. All right. So you don't want to miss that. All right. So, big shout again to our longtime sponsor, Star Child Social. If you're looking for marketing, if you're looking for maybe your website, if you're looking for just branding on your company, hmm, you're not really sure which way to turn, how to market yourself, look no further. Go to starchildsocial.com. They got your back. And you can tell them that Blaze sent you. Indeed, indeed. All right. So tonight's guest is someone who fell out of the sky, right from heaven. This is someone who is for sure purposeful in her moves, purposeful in her actions. Someone who was an NLP practitioner, which I love because, man, how connected is the mind? All right. How connected is our mind to our actions? And last month we spoke about mind, body, and soul.
Mhm.
And we shared in various ways, right? From health and fitness, right? To the mental health, physical therapy, all sorts of how connected everything is, right? It's all connected. Nothing is separate. It's all connected. All right. Tonight's guest. is an expert on relationships, from what she's experienced herself to also what she's experienced with her clientele as well. So I'm excited. I've seen her comment. I've seen her speak to her audience, and I was definitely drawn in. So I said, you know what? I gotta get Grace on the pod. So tonight's guest, she goes by Zen Life Grace on Instagram. Welcome to the pod, Queen. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So as I always do, I give my little cheap, I mean not my cheap, sorry. My my long-winded, as they say, introductions of my featured guests. But
Mhm.
I feel that you all are very important, for there would be no episodes without you all. But
Yeah, I
with all that,
appreciate that.
yeah, yeah. But with all that said, I always tell my guests to share a little bit about yourself for those who may not know.
Well, I like to just start off by saying that I was someone that was looking for my purpose.
Mm,
Okay. Before I became the woman you see here today, a few years ago, I was like many of your followers or viewers, where I was working my job. I did everything that I was told to do: go to school, get a job, get married, live the standard American life. But
mm,
I was not fulfilled. I was not satisfied. And I knew there was something more for my life than I was allowing to come through. And one day I decided to go for it. I actually decided to go for my dreams. And I gave up everything, moved to Costa Rica, had my spiritual awakening, and I found
wow.
myself. Everything that I was looking for, it was already with me. But I had to take that leap of faith and take the risk on myself to remember that and find that, because I believe that we're already in our purpose. We just
Mm,
have to remember who we are to know that we are the purpose. And because of that choice, I now found myself living in one of the most beautiful places in the world, that's Hawaii, with my partner and our little boy. And now the work that I'm doing is very purposeful. And I know that I'm here to serve the world.
mm. I love that. You said so many gems just right there. Um, I want to live in Hawaii. I mean, yeah.
Come on.
I need to. I've actually been to Hawaii once.
Okay.
I was 3 years old, so I'm not quite sure what I remember, but
Okay.
I need to return. I definitely need to come back. One of the things that you said that really struck me is that many times we're looking, right, to find ourselves, or we're looking for the answer. And all along, it's right here, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes distractions, and we're clouded by our judgment, and we
Hmm.
lack clarity and such. And as a life coach, I tell that to my clients. They're always saying, well, just fix me, so I need help and I need you to just, and it's like, listen, I can't tell you the answer.
Yeah.
You already know the answer. You
Yes.
may not think you know, but you know. Right? I'm just here to guide you to uncover what
Hmm.
is already present, what is already there. So
Exactly.
that's huge. What was that mind blowing experience, that aha moment where you realize, man, I was searching for this external source, this external power, and all along, like, it was right here.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if it was an aha moment. But what I will say is that I see in the healing community that it
Hmm.
has become a propaganda. Healing, which is supposed to be sacred and spiritual, has now become a product.
Mm.
And for
Talk about it.
me, I just realized that there was nothing that needed to be healed anymore. Like once you come into the awareness of self,
Hmm.
now the healing process is happening. Now you are healed because you are aware of yourself. But with any wound, with any like exposure, like with a wound, like it has to go through the process.
Right.
But true healing is just having accountability and responsibility for your life. When
Mm.
you are not healed is when you're not able to be accountable for the situation, because you're still pointing the finger. You're still
Mhm.
looking outside of yourself as that's the problem, instead of
Mhm.
looking within. Like, no, I'm the cause and effect of my life, like everything that's happening. So as I'm doing the healing work and doing the self development and working on myself, the more I keep coming back to who I always was. And I always go back to my childhood. Like when I was a little girl, I was so friendly and talkative, and I was entertaining, and I always was welcoming to people and wanted to sing and dance and wanted to, and never was afraid to say what I really felt. And so, as I'm uncovering the layers of my divine feminine, I'm coming right back to that same little girl. I was like, so you mean to tell me
Mhm.
there was nothing wrong with me in the first place?
Yes.
so that's when I realized, that it's just about remembering and accepting.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, Before we proceed, you said sing and dance. Can we put you on the spot right now?
Absolutely not.
I was looking for the absolutely.
Well, now how I alchemize that is, coming on your lovely podcast and talking to you and sharing. Now, sometimes I do like to sing and dance, but not definitely at the tier of Beyonce, okay? But I'm just saying that I love like talking and engaging with people and and sharing the light, freely.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Isn't it something that when we're kids, right, and we're growing up, especially in the school system, we're always looking to fit in, right? To find our group or our,
Yeah.
the cool kids, or I should fit in with the nerds or the athletes or the cheerleaders or whatever, right? We're always looking to fit in. And when you come into the awakening, right, to
Mhm.
your knowledge of self, you realize that my uniqueness was my superpower.
Yes.
And all this time, I was suppressing, right, who I truly was because I wanted to fit in with a certain group.
Yeah.
And that's why I love interviewing and speaking to the young people who are not ashamed, who are not afraid to be themselves, to be their true, authentic selves, and to walk in their purpose. And they don't care who judges them. They know why they're here. They're on a mission. They are fired up. They are ready. And it's like, man, when I was 18, when I was 25, when I was 32, I was trying to figure it out. All right, and still trying to fit into a certain and all of that. So
Mhm.
man, powerful, powerful. During this healing journey, um, how often do you go back to that little girl?
Oh, like daily.
Mm,
Like daily. But more so I go back to my inner guide, to my inner source. And sometimes that little girl shows up, but not in the most empowering way. Like
mhm,
sometimes that inner child shows up to protect me,
mhm,
and since doing more of the revealing work, I rather say revealing, because all I'm doing is revealing myself. There's nothing to be healed, there's nothing broken. I just got, caught up in the conditioning of society to make me think I was something that I was not. And
mhm,
so when that little girl shows up to protect me, um I'm very aware of it. But for me, it's all about connecting to that inner guide, listening to that voice, knowing the difference between the little hurt girl and the inner voice that is here to guide me and propel me, through the will of its purpose for me.
mhm.
So that's how I look at it. But every day I'm tuning into self, and I have what is called the Rising AM ritual. It's a
Okay.
course that I created through my own spiritual practice of waking up every day to take time for self.
Mm,
And if you're not doing that in your spiritual relationship with self, which
mhm,
is God, then you're missing out. And this is why I think that many people are just walking out here wandering. But in order for you to get back to that place of remembering who you are, you must connect to it every day, and that's what I do with my Rising AM ritual is connect with self. I take 2 hours between 4 to 6 o'clock in the morning, taking time for myself. My partner, my child do not get access to me because that's a sacred time for me and God to have union with one another for whatever I'm doing. If I need to talk to myself, or if I need to do breath work or EFT tapping, or just write my journal, it's about me emptying my vessel so that I can receive my family, receive the
Mhm.
world, or whatever. So that's what I do.
Mm. That is so important for many of us, right?
Yeah.
We wake up first thing in the morning and we're either reaching for our phones,
Mm-hmm.
checking our emails, we're already tapped into work, or checking
Yeah.
our social media, or we have our coffee and we're out the door, and then we go and we're driving in traffic and we got road rage and we get to work and we're already tested and we're already fried,
Yeah.
right? And then we're
Mm-hmm.
expected to work under pressure and
Yep.
perform at high levels, and it's so backwards. um would you mind sharing a little bit? You don't have to give us everything, but sharing a little bit with us about your morning ritual, as I feel that that's just so important.
Well, I believe that your morning ritual should be aligned to your energy. So the Rising AM ritual is a morning ritual that is aligned to your astrological energy, because I believe you can find God in the four elements, and that is fire, air, earth, and water. And we make up all of those elements with our mind, body, and soul. Okay. And so for me, I'm fire and air. So with fire and air, you have to think about, well, what archetype is fire and air? You would think movement, and you would think like just talking, communicating, and like passionate energy. But when you think of like earth, it's more grounding. So your morning ritual will be different from my morning ritual. Okay. So for me, I do breath work, I do exercise, I meditate for about 3 minutes. I don't do a lot of meditation because with my energy being like fire and air, my energy needs to move. So just sitting there is not going to help me to connect with the God energy within me. God is fire and air within me. So I have to honor God. I must honor my breath. I must honor my movement. I must honor the passion, the fiery passion in me. So that I do a few things. And sometimes I just, in my rising ritual, I just talk to myself. I just talk out loud. I just talk, because air and you a Libra, we can talk. Like we can,
Oh
but
yeah.
sometimes there's nobody to talk to, but I can talk to myself. Like I
Mm,
can have a good conversation with myself, but it's just to like move the energy.
mm,
Okay. And yeah, and listening to like spiritual like teachings and
mm,
classes just to get in tune to my vibration, my highest vibration, and setting the foundation so when my family comes, I can receive them. Like when my family shows up, I want to be ready to receive them. I don't want my family to come to me and I'm just full and I have nothing to give. Like
mm,
so that's what I do. And my rising ritual just depends on my vibration. If my
okay.
vibration is kind of like wonky, like maybe I'm going through things, so I'll do certain things that will bring me back to balance, and will nurture me more. But if I'm feeling good, like I'll do more things with movement and high energy and like affirmations and appreciation. Like I'll be like raising that frequency higher and higher. So it just depends on my mood.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, man, there are two things that I want to dive into a little bit more. Um, One of them is, you said fire and air. So for
Yeah.
those who may not know, who may be a little bit lost, like where did fire and air come from? What is she even talking about?
Okay.
Right. So our zodiac. Well, so I'm gonna let you take that.
Okay.
We just want to break
Yeah.
it
Okay.
down a little bit.
Well, one thing I am a practical astrologer, and what that is that I use astrology for practical everyday living. because astrology is divination and is, observance of the stars, but I learned how to use it to apply it to my life. Astrology can be your GPS system to your life's purpose, like to help you understand yourself
Mm-hmm.
in that level. And so when I say fire and air, when you think about the 12 zodiac signs, like when you hear somebody, what sign are you? They're talking about your sun sign, but there's other planets beyond your sun sign. But for the main point of this conversation, like when you hear someone say they're Leo, that's fire. If you hear somebody say they're Virgo, that's earth. If you hear someone say they're Cancer, that's
Water.
water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you think about your energy and how you can get your energy is by getting your birth chart, then it'll show you your elements that govern you. And you also want to know that because fire and air is masculine, water and earth are feminine. So it also encompasses in your feminine and masculine energy. Are you more masculine or are you more feminine? And that's what astrology can help you, learn. So if you have more masculine energy as a woman, you want to know that because how you come off is going to be more masculine, even though you are a woman, and vice versa for a man. But yeah, the four elements, you see it in your environment and you see it in your biology, and it's also in your mind, your mind, body, and soul, because your mind, as astrology, is the blueprint of your mind. So you want to understand and be aware of the four elements in different dimensions of your existence.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I was mind blown when I realized, and this was pretty recent, this was maybe 3 years ago, uh, when I dove into the elements.
Mhm.
Because I kind of heard about it here and there before, but when somebody really broke it down to me, and I said, man, this makes so much sense. Like
Yeah.
all this time I focus on my sun sign, right? So the Libra, and that was it. And it's like, well, I have some characteristics of a Libra, but not everything. But when I
Yeah.
broke down the elements, I said, man, that explains the careers that I choose
Yeah.
and the relationships that I get into
Exactly.
and all of
Exactly.
that. So,
Yeah. And your sun sign is not who you are. Your sun sign will guide you to your destiny. Your sun sign is what your destiny is, your purpose. If you want to know your purpose, look to your sun sign.
mhm,
Mhm.
mhm. Yes. So I hear this all the time, especially when it comes to relationships,
Okay.
right? All the time, and I hear so from the ladies they'll say, "Well, I'm masculine. I'm in my masculine energy most of the time because I haven't found a man to properly lead me. So when I find a man to properly lead me, then I'll tap into my feminine energy."
Mhm.
What are your views on that?
Okay, you about to open the can of worms,
Let's
huh?
go.
Okay, I mean that could be true. That could be true, but I would ask her, well, what is your natural energy? Because a lot of times women, they find their man that is very well capable, but if your energy, your natural energy is masculine, like for example, my energy is fire and air, I'm naturally masculine. So that doesn't mean I'm naturally being a man. No, it just means how I do things is in a masculine way. I'm very direct, I'm out there, like I'm about action, I'm about thought, I'm about that. So usually with women like me, I attract a man that has feminine energy, that is more earth and water,
Right.
right? But I realized that it was hindering me to be the man or the masculine because I'm not acting in my biological energy. See, we have feminine and masculine, and we have man and woman. You can't take away biology. I don't care what you think, how you feel. Your biology says that you are a man and I'm a woman based on the biology. But we also have to honor the feminine and masculine energy because it has nothing to do with gender. It's all energy. So some women, they exude more of the masculine energy. So because of that, we attract more, we to balance out the polarity, we're
Right.
going to attract a feminine man. But if we don't know that, and when that feminine man comes to us, we're not going to know how to be in our biology as the receivers of life,
Mm,
because we're like, well, look at him, he's not being the man. Well, he is being the man, he's just going about it in a feminine way. His energy is more inward. And so these women, they want this idea of man, this high valued man or the alpha male, but they could never get that man because the way that their energy is, there's no space for that type of man. And
mm,
so when you attract the men that we do receive, we have at first must start with what are our values and what are we wanting? Because it doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you are as a man. It's about what do I want to receive as a woman to be able to attract that.
mhm.
Okay. And so I don't know if, I don't know if that was a long answer to your
No, no,
question.
for sure.
But just when I hear women say that they
Mhm.
got to be the man, what they don't realize is that they're not creating the space for that masculine counterpart to come into their space because they're filling that space. And then whoever is going to come in that space, they're going to counter that with the feminine. Because if you're masculine, by the laws of nature, feminine must come in. That's
Yeah,
just that's just the way it goes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! Yes, yes. With relationships as well, you also hear this many times is
Okay.
that my ex was so toxic, or I only attract these sort of men, these toxic
Yeah.
men, the liars or
Hmm.
or the cheaters or this and that. And and I know everyone is different, but on average or as a whole, does that verbiage come from blaming, insecurity? Is it a lack of accountability? Or is it more so like on the energy?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, I believe that whatever you attract is what you are. If
Mm-hmm.
you can name it, you claim it.
Mm.
So if you see somebody that is toxic, then and they're in your life, they're here mirroring you.
Ooh.
And that's something that many people don't want to accept. Because
Mm-hmm.
somebody's like, well, I'm not a murderer. I didn't kill anybody. So just because I feel a certain way about that doesn't make up me a killer. Well, it's not about the actuality of what that person is doing. It's about the attributes of their action that you are attracted to.
Mm.
So if you think about somebody, and I'm going to the extreme, about somebody that's a murderer, right? What attributes what you think a murderer would have?
Mm.
Think you can answer that question.
Being fearless.
Hmm.
It could be aggressive. It could
Aggressive.
be
Hmm.
emotional.
You see,
It could be
yeah,
precise. There's so
it
many.
could.
Yeah.
It's so many things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whatever bothers you about something, like on your external world, is
Mm.
symbolic to your inner world. It's symbolic to what's going on with you. So if you, because there's so many women come to me, and be like, can you talk about the fuck boys and the narcissists and the men that are abusive? No, I'm not going to talk about that because I don't want to attract that in my life. I don't want
Mm.
to receive that. And if you're finding yourself continue to be with those type of men, that's saying something about you.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
thing that I hear the most, uh, in the man and woman, is that the man says the woman is the problem, the woman says the man is the problem. But at the end
Mhm.
of the day, we reflecting each other.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And what you say about another tells me a lot about you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
I
then you also had added to that question. You
mhm,
said, "Where does that come from? Where does that come from?" Why you will point that out, and I definitely think it comes from everything, and you will hear this from me. Everything starts from your childhood.
mm,
Everything, how you view the world, your relationships, yourself, is started from childhood.
mm,
When you are in relationships,
mm,
your mother and father show up because that was your first intimate relationship. So how your mother was is how you're going to view women and how you view yourself if you were a woman. How your father was is how you're going to see yourself and how you're going to see men. And then when you have kids, your mom and daddy going to show up because then you're going to be parenting like them.
mhm,
So with the toxicity and in the relationships and where is it all starts from your childhood,
mm,
and especially in our childhood, most of us have been conditioned. Most of us have been suppressed.
mhm,
Most of us were not, nurtured properly. And when we are being ourselves, we get ostracized for that. When
oh
we're
yeah,
being our pure natural self, we wasn't celebrated for that. We
mm-mm,
were told, no, you need to be something else. You are a bad girl, you are a bad boy. So when you go out into the world in these relationships, you're not going into these relationships with connection, with openness. You're going into these relationships with judgment
mm,
and condemnation
mm,
and closed off.
mhm,
You wasn't taught how to love anybody
mm,
and how to love yourself in front of somebody. We wasn't taught that.
mm-mm,
So anytime you see something, you're gonna be like, "Oh, that's toxic." Is it really?
mm, mm, mm,
The person expressing themselves in a way you don't like is toxic.
mm,
Okay.
mm. I never, I feel that I never learned so much about myself until I became a parent.
You said everything right there.
I didn't realize until
Hmm.
my
Hmm.
son was in his mom's womb and I saw she begin to change
Mm.
and she brought certain things out of me and I was blaming her for it and a whole lot of things. And during that season, I felt when she was pregnant, and granted, my son is almost 6 and I'm still learning, right? I'm learning all the time. That
Yeah.
doesn't stop. But I felt I learned the most about myself in probably a 2 year span from when he was in the womb till about age 1. It was
Okay.
such an awakening for me. It changed my views on politics, on religion, on
What?
the school system, on the food I was eating. Like I went vegan, like everything so much changed. And I said, man, I've been brainwashed for so long. I've been conditioned and I've been lacking the accountability. I've been pointing
Okay.
fingers at ex-girlfriends and placing my judgments and being raised in the church,
Mm.
and not bashing the church at all. But what I'm saying is that many of us who were raised in the church, we go through life not realizing we're so judgment, right?
Yeah.
We judge others. We're so
Hmm.
judgmental,
Yeah.
and we have to be careful with that because we point fingers and we judge others, and we're not dealing with with
Yeah.
our issues and what we're attracting, what we are suppressing, and we're judging others. And many times it's not even that they're wrong. It's
Hmm.
just that how they're behaving is different than how we were raised. So we deem it as wrong because we may not understand it. And man, it changed so much. I said, I got to start over. So even though I'm at my birth age, right, I feel like I'm actually 5 or 6 years old
Yeah.
because I really had to like start over and
Yeah.
reprogram and recondition so much.
Well, what's one of the things that when she was pregnant
Hmm.
that made you see yourself? Like, what's one thing that made you like, dang, I didn't know that was me or in me?
Ah, man, so much. One is that I didn't realize how selfish I was because many people will say Blaze is a nice person, right? Like I'm a nice guy. I am giving. So whenever anyone would call me selfish, which was very rare,
Yeah.
say, crazy? Are you smoking? Like me selfish? I'm
Yeah.
one of the nicest people. And then you're put in a position where you have a new life coming, and then you realize there are certain things that you don't want to let go.
Yeah.
And then your time has to be shared. And I was like, oh, this, yeah. So I
Yeah.
felt in those years, how I call it, I really had to mature. I really had to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
That put things really in perspective. And I said, oh, okay, well, I have to go make money, and it's not just about me anymore, or like me and my girlfriend or whatever. Like I have a whole life coming, and
Yeah.
preparing and saving and just getting my mind right. And what am I going to teach my son? And am I going to teach him exactly how my parents taught me?
Yeah.
Or am I going to shift certain things? And are my views the same as my parents when they were? So it was so eye opening for me.
Yeah. So you had awakened that part of manhood that you were coming into your to being a provider.
Hmm.
And it was beyond money. It was everything. Like
Yeah,
what am I providing? And then when you saw it on the table, oh, this is what I'm providing my family. It was probably a big wake up call, huh?
oh yeah,
Like it wasn't much. It
yeah,
wasn't much to make an impact, And it was like,
yeah,
dang. Hmm.
yeah. I had to throw everything away and said,
Yeah.
okay, let's go. I spent days and nights at the beach
Yeah.
and diving into meditations and seeing things on a deeper level and uncovering the history of Islam and Christianity
Oh
and
wow.
questioning everything. I'm
Hmm.
like, I can no, I have a whole son coming. I can no longer go in life and just base my life off of things that I was just told as a kid. I have to question, where did this come from? Holidays, all of that.
Yeah, everything.
Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Oh, I definitely had that awakening. I feel like because I've done some extreme things in regards to my spiritual development and awareness of self.
Hmm.
Like, and we can say that for a whole nother podcast,
Hmm.
but I will say the most transformational thing that ever happened to me was becoming a mother. Just like you, Blaze, I was very selfish, and I'm still selfish, but now I alchemize that selfishness for the sake of my family, for
Hmm.
the sake of my child's development. Like, I do not care what you think, what you say. Nah, this is how it's going to be because I know what's right for my child. I know what's right for my family. So I'm alchemize that because people will always try to like make you feel bad about your selfishness, but they're selfish. Like, well, you being selfish because you don't like that I'm being selfish.
Talk about it.
But I will. Oh yes, like when I became a mom, I did not realize that I had the capacity to love someone the way that I love him.
Hmm.
Like, and with children, they don't care. They don't know what love is. They don't care how much you care about them. They ain't worried about that. And so I tapped into that unconditional love. And I
Hmm.
feel like that's the only way you're going to truly feel how the energy of God, like say God is an entity up in the sky, right?
Hmm.
I feel like that's the only way we truly can feel the energy of God and the love that the energy of God has for us, because no matter what our children, for most of us anyways, no matter what our children do, they cannot stop us from loving them ever. It does not matter. There's nothing that little boy can do that ever will take my love from me. He can cut my arm off and I will still love him with a nub, And I did not realize the how that could what that could do to you that someone has a type of hold over you, right? And they can't do nothing for you. It's not reciprocal. It just isn't. And
Yeah.
just the lack of patience I had,
Ooh.
and it really helped me see myself. It really helped me come into my growth because I realized the lack of patience I had, the lack the desire to want to control everything
Mm.
and just allow to go with the flow. Because with children, we want to control them, and they'd be like, I'd be like, do this. They'd be like, no, and then I get mad because I'm like, I told you to do it, and so were you. It'd be that energy, be like, and it's just so many things, like, and then to view my character because he's watching me, he's
Oh,
watching
yeah.
everything I'm doing. He don't care what I'm saying, he's looking at me and what I'm doing, and that's
Hmm.
who he's going to decide to become based on my character. And that is such a big responsibility, and I feel like it's so unfair, because I'm like, I'm not perfect, you
Hmm.
know but yeah, but since becoming a mother, that's the things that some of the things that I've been just more present to. And yeah, and I wouldn't trade it in for the world. Like like being a parent is not for the soft.
Mm.
Being a parent is not for the weak. Like to be a parent, I can see why people do the things that they do because children will bring out the the worst of you. They'll bring out the shadows that you're not willing to face. Children will bring that out of you. You didn't realize, like, dang, I didn't know that was in me. And sometimes people don't know how to handle it, and that's why they beat children, they abuse them. And it's not that they're abusing the children, it's just that they're abusing themselves and they're taking it out on their children because they don't know how to process life. They don't know how to process their emotions. So they take it out on the weakest, most vulnerable person, and that's the child.
Child.
Hmm.
Mm. During this episode, I am getting flashbacks of my childhood.
Really?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And as a parent, um, and this is still in line with our theme because the theme is not dating, right? The
Okay.
theme is relationships, right?
Okay. Oh yeah.
Masculine and
Hmm.
feminine. So
Hmm.
all of this, right, is under the same umbrella. And I see my child sometimes, and I go, well, how I grew up. Not saying how I grew up was terrible
Yeah.
all the time, all around, right? I had some great times as a child, but there were also some times that were pretty bad. And I say when I look at my son, I go, I want to make sure he doesn't grow up with that chip on his shoulder and carry that childhood trauma like I've been carrying, and right. And I say
Hmm.
all this, and then sometimes I ask my son to do something, or I tell my son to do something, or I share my views to him on something or whatever,
Hmm.
and the next day, I'm in my quiet time and I'm thinking, and I'm like, hmm, what I was telling him, is that truth? Or is that just my perspective or my view? Was that absolutely right? Or do I feel it's right because, you know what I mean? So I start thinking
Hmm.
that way, like, maybe I'm giving him some trauma in a different way. But my parent was like, man, there's so many levels to this
Yeah.
parenting thing that
Yeah.
we still trying to figure out.
Yeah, yeah. That's real. That is real. But the fact that you were able to self reflect
Mhm.
and see it, because what I had to come to grips with is that I'm not here to be a perfect parent. That's because if that's what Zen wanted, he wouldn't have chose me. I believe that in the philosophy that we choose our families. that we choose our life before we get here. So Zen knew exactly who I was before I got here before he got here to choose me. So I'm like, okay, so he didn't want no perfect parent because he wouldn't pick me. But when I do make a mistake or I lash out verbally or just a little bit too aggressive, I'm aware that the difference is with you and I, and maybe some other parents, is that we're aware of that behavior.
Yeah.
We are aware of it and we're holding ourselves accountable. Like, dang, was that traumatic?
Mm-hmm.
You know, other parents that I've talked to be like, no, I'm the mama and they're gonna do what I say, and I am right and they're all wrong. They're not in awareness. They're in that old paradigm of parenting. But
Yeah.
with you and I and many other parents is that we're conscious. That's what it means to be a conscious parent. It's that we're conscious about how we're parenting. That doesn't mean we're gonna get it right. It just
Right.
means we're conscious with our behavior and be like, dang, is that gonna screw him up about 10 years from now? Because I said that,
Mm-hmm.
like, and having the ability to apologize. Like I apologize to my son every day. Like I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry that I did that to you. I'm sorry that I said that. I tell him, like, I don't know everything. I don't know. He asks me questions. I don't know. I really don't know. And so the foundation of how I parent, I believe that my son already knows and is equipped with everything that he needs. I'm just here to be his guardian angel. I'm just here to guide him and help him develop his soul. That's what nurturing is. Nurturing is to take care, to develop and help grow. So I don't have to do like when you plant the garden, you just put the seeds in it and then let you just step back. You ain't be like, okay, seeds grow, okay,
Mm-hmm.
apple tree, time to no, you just tend to it and provide what it needs for its environment to make it thrive. Because it
Yeah.
already knows what to do. I
Mm-hmm.
believe God is in my child, and I just have to allow God to flourish,
Mm-hmm.
from Him, and so that's how I trust in moving out of His way. And I love what you said about, am I just giving Him my perspective? Yeah, but He's come with His own perspective.
Yeah.
So sometimes I ask Zen, I was like, Zen, what you think? What you think we should do? And I encourage him to have good ideas. I encourage him to be creative. I'm like, what you think we should do? And a lot of times it's gibberish, but I'm still just helping him and acknowledging his voice and
Yeah.
letting him know that your voice matters too in this conversation. Even though it
Yes.
doesn't make any sense, but you don't know that. But it's the exercise, it's the action, it's the habits that I'm creating with him. That there's an exchange in our relationship that your voice matters. Now I'm going to probably say no, but thank you for sharing. Like, thank you
Mm-hmm.
for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if my son knows this or not,
Okay.
but from a young, I mean, he's not old yet, right? He's
No.
about to be 6 in a week, right? But it's funny. So me and my queen, we call him a old man because he'll drop gems. He'll say uh, a phrase at the right time,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in my head. I'm like, does he know? He just prophesied over my life. He'll just say certain things, and it's like, oh, that's what I needed. Or that
Mm-hmm.
phrase, that theme was in my dream this morning. It was in my meditation. That is confirmation on something. And he'll say certain things and they'll happen months down the road or years down the road. And it's like, I feel like there's a wizard. There's like this old man in him. And he just, and it to the average eye, to the naked eye, it's like he's a child. He just asks about your dream. It's nothing. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, because he doesn't ask about my dreams all the time. But the dream I had this morning was so potent, he had to ask about it so that I would write it down. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
Yeah.
man, so I feel like God speaks through my son, 5 years old,
Yeah.
all the time. And it's like, yes, thank you, Hendrix. This is what I needed. Yes.
Yes, that I have those moments too. Yeah, definitely. Where I'm like, like, thank you for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So like sometimes we'll say, Daddy, like you're gonna get like a new car and a new house, and you're gonna do this, um, and your house was right by your mom's house and whatever. And I'm like,
Hmm.
okay. And then a year later, as I'm buying my new car, it's like, well, you did say
What?
I was
Do you,
gonna buy a new car, right? And that was only a year ago.
what's the
Okay.
sun sign?
He is a Aquarius.
Oh yeah, very wise. Yeah. Do you know it's
Yeah.
moon or rising?
Uh I wrote it down somewhere. I don't know it off
Yeah.
the top, but
Yeah.
he's an Aquarius just like his grandfather.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh
he's very
my
wise.
my dad is Aquarius January, and then my son is Aquarius in February.
Okay.
Um, but I always wonder about that because my dad has he's able to lead people, right? And I
Hmm.
don't know if he's watching. What's up, Pop? Um, but when he was younger, right, when I was a child and my dad was in his 30s and such, he was very aggressive
Okay.
and he had the anger and he would put people in their place. And in my view, he didn't fear anything, right? But in a sense, maybe it backfired a little bit because I thought no one was exempt from his aggressiveness, from his anger, including his one and only son.
Yeah.
All right. So then I see my son, who's an Aquarius, and I'm like, yes, walk in your purpose and be aggressive. And my son is great at sports and do all these things. But then I'm like, but just be careful with the anger and this and that. So it's so much to unpack, right?
It's very interesting because you're a Libra. So you're coming from the perspective of a Libra, like I'm balanced, the peacemaker, and your son is like, I know, I'm rebellious. You're gonna hear me. I'm gonna be aggressive, and you're like, no. So it's just like, so that's why, like as parents, we have to know we have our own energy, and
Hmm.
our child has their energy. So my child's a Scorpio with an Aquarius moon, so he's
Hmm.
very fixed in how he feels, what he thinks and stuff.
Hmm.
But I try to honor his energy. Like I always
Yeah.
keep it in the forefront. And then he's a Gemini rising. So I do my best to honor his energy instead of impeding my energy onto him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm. I want to bring it back a little bit
Okay.
and talk about as we're on this healing journey and we're growing and we're knowing ourselves and we're holding ourselves accountable, right? Looking at the man and the woman in the mirror.
Okay.
Um, how is that reflected in your relationships outside of outside of being a parent? So your intimate relationship.
Okay. Could you go a little bit deeper with the question?
Sure, 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 sure. Absolutely. So remember in the beginning, we had
Okay.
spoke about how many men and women, right? We blame our partners and, oh, you're so this and you're so that, right? And we don't, take time to reflect on ourselves, right? So
Yeah.
how has your healing journey, how has your growth helped or hurt uh, your current relationship? That's I guess the question.
Oh yeah. I mean, you got time? Okay. Like I believe that because of my relationship with my partner is why I'm able to say that I'm healed,
Mm,
because I do not believe that your healing journey or your self-love journey, I do not believe that you can receive that by being single.
mm,
Of course you love yourself. Of course you're healed. Ain't nobody here. Ain't nobody here to trigger you. Ain't nobody here to
mm.
mirror who you actually are when you're under pressure or when your emotions have got ruffled. Okay?
Ooh.
So because of me being in this relationship, this is why I was able to find what it meant to love myself, to understand what it meant to love me. Because in my relationship, there was times where my partner and I did not get along.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get along. We didn't really, even really wanted to be with each other. But because we had a child, that's what kept us deciding to stick it out. We're gonna stick this out because I don't want to be no single mama. You don't want to be no single daddy. And we both want to be in our child's life. So we're gonna have to figure this out. So because I chose my family over my own selfish happiness, I
Mm-hmm.
was able to grow and really find the true meaning of love within myself and how to love someone when I don't see love there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my relationship has brought me, and to really truly understand what love is, because people think that love is about romance and flowers and sex. And okay, but what if there's no romance? What if there's no sex every day? Can you still find the ability to love? Can you still find the ability to show up for each other? And so me and my partner, we decided we're going to build our relationship on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that came to me recently from our partner is that, because usually him and I say, like, oh, we're not in love with each other. We love each other, but we're here for a purpose. But an elder has shared that you love the things that you value. That's what love is. And I value my partner, and my partner values me. And I was like, you know what? I am in love with you because you bring so much value in my life. It's not about the things that this person has, it's about, does this person bring value to your life? Now, for some people, it could be in the things, but what if the person lost all those things?
All right.
Do they have the ability to get it back? Or you was just there for those things, and now those things are not? Then that person don't got no character. That person don't got no principles they standing on.
Right.
So for me, that's what I learned, is that if you truly want to grow, if you truly want to heal, if you truly want to know what love is, it requires another.
Mm-hmm.
It requires another to be there. Okay. And the only way that you know that you're a man is because I'm a woman. How would you not know that you're a man if the woman wasn't here? How would the woman know that she's a woman if the man's not here? You make me who I am. I make you who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
let's not forget that.
Mm-hmm. Whew.
I could go on, but I'll stop.
No, no, no. I like it. You have my wheels turning.
Okay. Okay.
Um, Man, yeah, you definitely have my wheels turning. As But you're right, because I went through a season. I went through several seasons of my life. Right.
Okay.
Yes, Giselle. Right. Very interesting. Um, I went through a season in my life where, as I was changing and evolving and growing and such, I was single, and I said, I'm going to grow as much as I can, and I'm going to learn so much about myself so that when I meet my partner, that I'm ready, right? So before meeting my queen now, um, I felt so spiritual, and I'm like, I'm barely human. I'm like so spiritual, and I'm so ready, and my meditations are like this, and I see that, and I prophesy, and I do all these things, right? Cool. And my queen will tell you, in our relationship, and we've been together, it seems longer than it really is, but it's only been for a few years,
Yeah.
and we'll argue about things or whatever, and I realized, it's like, man, I thought I was done with this. I thought I was healed with it. I thought I was over this, but I'm hella triggered right now by something she said, or something that she had did. And the same
Mm-hmm.
with her. I'll say something, and she'll be triggered, and she's like, you know what? I will talk to you later. I can't deal. And I'm like, but what's wrong with her? Because I'm just trying to help, and she just tripping. So what you said is that you really, learn. You really realize um, how much work you have done when you're in a relationship. It's like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're
Like you
single,
don't
it
know that
appears
you're
different.
yeah, exactly. Like you don't know when you healed until you get in a relationship with someone and they trigger and bring up that childhood wound. They picking at that childhood wound. When you by yourself, ain't nobody there
Yeah,
triggering you. You
yeah,
know, ain't nobody there violating your boundaries. Ain't nobody
yeah.
there. So of course you feeling good. Of course, yeah, you going to sleep at night every night. You meditating. You got a routine. Ain't
Oh yeah.
nobody you solo dolo until someone comes and interrupt it, then that's when you know how solid you are or lack
Mm,
thereof.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you know, like when even in the turbulence of this relationship, I'm
Mm-hmm.
still rooted. In the turbulence of how you treat me, I still can find the ability to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless if you're gonna love me or not. That's what self-love is. Self-love ain't you was going out and get your nails done and you taking a trip by yourself and it's just you. That ain't self-love. Ain't nobody there. But when somebody's there, with spite on what they can do for you, do you still love yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Can you still be rooted in that? And that's why I think that so many people back in the olden days, our grandparents used to be together for 60 some years until somebody died, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
Not
yeah.
these days. Everybody, as soon as you hurt somebody's feelings, they up and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say, I'm not gonna be in no toxic relationship. And the number one thing that people are using the word is narcissist. That was the worst thing that they could have put on social media because everybody is self-diagnosing each other and calling each other narcissists. We don't even truly know what it means. But the point is that people they don't know how to stay in relations. They don't know how to be in a relationship, and they want to point the finger at the other person. But what it really comes down to, what I see is what it comes down to is that people are not rooted within themselves. And how you can get rooted within yourself is being clear about what you value in life, being clear on what your standards are. So when someone violates those, you have the ability and confidence to articulate your boundaries and stay rooted and firm. Like, I don't gotta go nowhere because I am the standard. And if you can't handle it, then you need to go. But people, because they don't take the time to learn thyself and understand how their childhood story shows up, they want to run away and they're going to keep looking for the answer in that person and that person and that thing and that location, but they're taking themselves with them. The problem is coming with you no matter where you go. You know,
That part.
that part, okay? And
Yeah.
so you go ahead.
No, that part. If you notice a trend, ladies and gentlemen, if
Yes,
you keep attracting the same type of person and you keep blaming them and you keep jumping from relationship to it's you.
it's you. It's
I know we don't want to
you.
hear that.
It's you. It's you. Yeah. And the thing is that we're not saying that you stay in a situation that is physically harmful, right? We're not saying that. That's the first thing people want to throw out. Like, what? He's abusing me. Well, you need to go find safety,
Yeah.
right? And then you need to tell that person until you can get some professional help with that. I can't be in a space with you, but I'm here to help you help yourself. But then instead of pointing the finger and blaming them, you need to ask yourself, well, why on earth would I attract a person like that anyways? What about me attracted this person to come to me? What about this person, this toxic person that they see in me that I saw in them?
Mhm.
That's the question. Why is this in my story? You are a character in your life and you are playing in a movie. And everybody and everything in your life is a part of your movie. You got the lead in that, the supporting role. You got the leading man. You got the plot. Okay. And you want to be like, okay, instead of like asking, so why me? No, why is this in my story and what is it here to teach me?
Exactly.
Everything is here to teach you something about yourself. It's a game. Life is a game.
Mm-hmm.
If you can look at it that way, you can welcome in the opposition that may occur through the people, but the people definitely, we are here to be with each other. And the way society has conditioned us to believe that's why the independent woman, like I'm independent, I don't need no one. And that's not true. And society has, especially with the women, made us believe that we are independent. But no, you're dependent on the society and the government. You may not be dependent on your man, but everything is cohesive with each other. If I said the word right, everything is working together. But the illusion is for most women is that we don't need anyone. We don't need no man. We making our own money. We're doing our own thing. No, you're not. You're dependent on something. But what you're dependent on is not, it's not in your best interest, and it's actually keeping you from what you truly want. But you are in the illusion that this money is all you need. But you know what I'm saying? And that's just not true. It's people. People is our greatest asset.
Oh
The,
yeah.
that's the number one thing you can have in your life is people. The number one thing you could be working on in your spiritual growth, your healing growth, is relationships.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, and let's not even talk about being single and healing, but still you still having booty calls. That's a whole nother. That's a
Exactly.
whole nother
Exactly. And
episode.
then getting the vibrators that is messing up your clitoris is like, no, like if you're gonna be alone, be alone. And then y'all ain't exempt to watching porn, but you single. You know, come on. It's like you the one missing out. You the one messing yourself, but you the one ain't preparing yourself for your blessing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You half-assing it. Just because you afraid to feel.
Mm-hmm. The some of the most aggressive alpha males are the ones that run from being hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Anytime a man tell me he an alpha male, that's a red flag. any man that self-proclaimed that he's alpha, that's a red flag for me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man,
Yeah.
so much. I feel this, and I don't say this often,
Okay.
but I feel this should be a part two because man, we just opened the door to a whole nother room.
Okay.
And there's just so much that we could take this on. So, um, man, so I really want to dive back into this and more with you for a future date. Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. So, if people are looking to reach you, they have questions. They do you have any programs? What are you offering? How can they
Okay.
reach you?
Okay, well, my IG handle is zenlife_grace. You can reach me there. You can hit me up in the DM. And what I offer currently is I do birth chart readings, and I offer love and relationship readings, and I offer life and purpose guidance readings as well. And in my readings, it's not just I'm going to just read your chart. It's like you're going to get your life together at my reading. So many people that have had my astrology readings, they say they receive clarity. That's the number one thing that people receive from me is clarity. Is that I believe you already know what you're here to do and you just need clarity that you're going in the right direction. And so that's what you will receive in my birth chart readings. And also I offer life coaching in my readings as well. And what makes my life coaching unique is that I use your birth chart and human design and numerology to guide you because I believe the numbers don't lie. And numerology and astrology, they are gifts from the gods. They are symbols, gifts that show you yourself, show you, reveal your destiny. So in my life coaching, I use that as a blueprint to support you in uncovering and rediscovering who you are. And I also, use human design as well, because human design is the ability to understand your energy, and it gives you the skill and what to do with your energy.
Mm.
Okay. And so I also offer that, but you'll have to like just hit me up 101 just to connect with me. And I also offer like a free 30-minute call to see if we would be a good fit for the coaching program. And I also have like classes that courses that you can also sign up with. My Rising AM Ritual course, I highly recommend that course for
Mm.
everyone. If you are not solid in your morning routine, you want it to be intentional. It's not about you just getting up, hitting the snooze, taking the shower, eating your breakfast, and going to work. No, be intentional before anybody receives your energy. This is a part of manifestation. It's being intentional with your movement, with your thoughts, and with your energy. And when you are
Mm.
intentional with that, that is what you're going to manifest. But if you just floating around like this is why you may get this and this is why you may get that, but it's about being intentional with how you move and think in life. And then I also have a couple of astrology courses that will help guide you in your birth chart. And yeah.
Hmm. All right. So you heard that. So on Instagram, it's Zen Life underscore Zen Life underscore Grace. Oh
Hmm.
man, sorry for that. Awesome, awesome. In closing, is there a particular word? Is there a phrase? Is there a quote? Anything of the sort that comes to mind that you'd like to leave my audience with?
I would just like to leave them with this. The one word is connection.
Hmm.
Okay, connection. Remember this. In all that you do, your intention should be to connect. So before you say anything, will this bring connection or will this push them away from me?
Hmm.
Your intentions is always to bring connection, to receive and provide connection, because essentially why you are afraid or why you don't think you can get what you want is because of the fear of or the lack of connection.
Hmm.
You forgot how to connect because you're here to open your arms to receive all that you want. Even, and I say the woman is the receiver, but we are all here to receive the bounty of what God has given us to experience. God wants to be you. Okay. God created you to be you. So it could be you. Okay. And so you want to open yourself to receive. But the bottom line is that don't be afraid to connect. And what I mean by that, don't be afraid to show your emotions. Don't be afraid to allow someone else to be vulnerable to you. Open yourself to connect. And when you can do that, then that's when you're going to take your growth and your spiritual journey on a whole nother level. It's through connection and also being committed to.
Hmm. Indeed, indeed. Grace, thank you so much
Thank you.
for your time, for your energy, for your masculine energy, for your feminine energy, for it. For it. This was definitely a purposeful event,
Hmm.
time, space, and there's no mistake that this was episode 88. This is going to definitely stand out for sure.
Yeah.
Whew. For
Yeah.
those listening, the Blaze Line podcast, we're also streaming on all your major platforms. So for this episode right here, episode 88, if you missed the beginning, if you missed a couple of parts, no fear. For the video, the replay will be available on the Blaze Line podcast YouTube channel. And that will be available as soon as I click end on this broadcast. The audio version will be available in about 24 hours on all your major streaming platforms, your Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, and such. Indeed, we are streaming right now in 33 countries and growing. I am excited. I hope you're excited for 2023. Even if your January was not what you imagined, not what you thought, not what you anticipated, that does not dictate the rest of the year. There's only 30 days. And probably your stressor, your challenge, probably wasn't even 30 days. Maybe it was a couple of days, right? And we overanalyze and we overthink and we grow our problems into bigger mountains, right? So I want you to step into February, right? With purpose, with vigor, with excitement, with joy, all right? Find yourself, find your purpose, and just know that more is to come. All right. More is to come, definitely. Grace, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Woo! This was the Blaze the Line podcast. As we always say up on here, peace and love.